Like first thing about becoming a creator is you have to think like an audience. That's the mistake I did first. 40 podcasts I got a camera because a lot of people were saying me like do shorter podcasts. Why you're doing 1 hour podcast?
वेलकम टू लाइफ रेजोनेट। अब किसको पता था कि दो लोग अगर बात कर रहे हैं लोग उनको देखना या लोग उनको सुनना पसंद करेंगे, और आजकल के जमाने में उसको बोला जाता है पॉडकास्ट। तो इस पॉडकास्ट में मैंने बात की तुषार दयाल से, जिनका एक यूट्यूब चैनल है चर्चा इन ब्लैक होल। वो खुद एक पॉडकास्टर है और उन्होंने बहुत वीडियोस भी बनाया है पॉडकास्ट के ऊपर। तो पॉडकास्ट का फ्यूचर क्या है, पॉडकास्ट है क्या, पॉडकास्ट करने में क्या क्या लगता है, पॉडकास्ट करने में क्या क्या चाहिए, ये सब क्वेश्चंस के आंसर्स तुम लोगों को इस पॉडकास्ट में मिलेगा। तो गाइस देख लो ये पॉडकास्ट, कंज्यूम कर लो, जो आपको पसंद है उसका उतना कंज्यूम कर लो। और आपको अगर पॉडकास्ट शुरू करना है तो दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
For any kind of content you want to say, podcast, you say a podcast, a YouTube video, because sometimes YouTube videos are like 15-minute long. Whatever content you're trying to sell. So the problem right now is people you have to catch people attention first. So before June I was podcasting and I was not getting audience, but then I came on Twitter. Through Twitter what I did was I was putting out very short form content. Twitter is very short form content. You can have the similar result with reels, like you can just put out reels. So what happens is people get a peek into your personality. Okay, Tushar think like this in some sense. So through tweets you start to show people by catching their attention through like short tweets. You sort of tell them like this is what I think, this is what I do, this is what. Then you shift them to your long term audience. Then you shift them to your long form content, sort of newsletters, podcasts, YouTube channels. So go whenever someone come to me for a like someone say like, oh, I want to market my podcast, I say either start tweeting or start making reels around what you think about. Because through reels, you will start first of all catching your friends' attention. Then they will share. Then you will find more and more audience just through short form content. Because people don't have to invest much in you. Why would someone why would someone want to watch Tushar? Why would someone? No one wants to see Tushar because Tushar is no one right now. But they can read a tweet for me. Even if I'm not famous, they can read my tweet. Even if I'm not famous, they can see one reel of mine. Then they get a peek into like what I think, and then they go to my long form content. When they like the reels, then they can go to long form content. When they like the tweets, then they can go and read my newsletter. Because if Tushar's tweet is good, maybe the newsletter is good. I should try it out. That's how audience thinks. Like I have scheduled a tweet. I have scheduled a tweet like the first thing about becoming a creator is you have to think like an audience.
Okay, so that means for me, I should start with tweeting more, and that's how I attract people, get the people, and then start the newsletter.
And attract the type. Yes, attract the type of people you want.
Got it, man.
Or there is one more thing.
So
there is one more thing you can do. There is a short technique as well. What you can do is provide something for free that is valuable. So what you can do is you can build a digital product, sort of PDF or something like that, which you will sell for free. Which you will say, okay, just try it out for free. This can help you in this.
This is what you did too. How to start a podcast, right?
It was not free. It was not free in my case. But yeah, you can. Okay. I built a digital product. And I put it out there. And I'm saying okay, you can just try it out.
Okay.
So yeah, you can just try it out. In return, you get emails of people. Because whenever someone buy your book, they will give you your email. Then you can sell them your newsletter. Okay, you bought my ebook. I also have a newsletter. Can you just try it out? So now they have a valuable thing. They know you can provide value. They have a proof in their mind you can provide value. So they would like to read your newsletter at least once.
Perfect.
So there's a shortcut method to it. There is long-term method. There's a lot of things you can do.
Great. Now अभी तो topic पे आते हैं. Now tell me, you are in your 20s, okay? How can any person who is in 20s can start podcast?
I don't think age is the right thing. Okay, to 20s, 30s doesn't matter. If you want to start a podcast, first of all, figure out why you want to start a podcast. That's the most important thing. Why you want to start a podcast? I wanted to explore. I wanted to explore. What I can do. Can I do a conversation basically? So I just wanted to explore, and I started doing it. That's the thing. So what happens when you the thing is why it's important to ask why you want to do a podcast. The thing is, you will first figure out your niche. At the moment you answer the question why you want to start a podcast, you answer your niche. Like, I know I want to explore, so I don't have to figure out a niche. I will just talk to anyone I want. I don't have to figure out a niche. But a person who wants to build a podcast to discuss about philosophy, then he knows like he should get people from philosophy background. If a person is trying to sell his marketing product or build his image in marketing, then he should get people from marketing background. Or you just want to share your stories. You don't want to explore. You just want to share your stories. So then you should do a solo podcast of 15 to 20 minutes, not more than that. So you figure out your niche, and at the same time, whenever you will start content creation, a lot of people will say a lot of things. Okay, like do this, do that. But if you have got your why figured out, then you won't probably sway away. Because a lot of people were saying me like, do shorter podcasts, why you're doing 1 hour podcast. But I like that. And I'm still continuing with it. And now people are listening to 1 hour podcast. Because I was sticking to my why. So yeah, that's it. So first of all, figure out your why. Then there is tools. What tools you require? You can start a podcast with a phone. Like, seriously, you don't require much tools. Like, even if you're doing a guest podcast, a phone is like good enough. You can start with phone. If you have a laptop, that's good enough. If you have a laptop, just like download OBS. OBS is a recording service. Use Riverside. Like, even this tool is like really good. Use Riverside or something like that. So then use like tools like these, and then just record it. Like, you have to like call someone on the Gmeet, and then you can just record it. You have to prepare questions. Like, okay, let's stick to the tools. First, figure out the tools. You don't need a mic. Seriously, like you can start with bare minimum. Even until 30 podcasts, I didn't have a mic. I didn't have a camera. After 30 podcasts, I got a mic, and after 40 podcasts, I got a camera. So you don't probably need that. Just start with what you have. Okay. And you can just DM me. Like, actually, you can just DM me and ask me, like, I have a phone. How can I do a podcast? I have like this tools. How can I do a podcast? Seriously, like, just DM me. I will tell you. So yeah, start with bare minimums. You just need OBS. And for uploading, you just need to use Anchor or Hubhopper. You can upload through that, and it will upload. It will be uploaded on Spotify. Like, what else do you want? Spotify, Apple Podcasts. What else do you want?
Exactly.
And on YouTube is not a rocket science either. You can, if you have a video podcast, you can record and upload on YouTube. Like, YouTube is not rocket science either. It's a simple upload button.
Right. And what to do if you don't have any viewers, if you don't have any listeners? Like,
I think that's the mistake I did first. I should have built an audience on Twitter or Instagram first. Then I should have started a podcast. But if you'll just start out, because until you don't have an audience, you can experiment a lot. So your first 10 podcasts will be bad. You probably won't even realize it, but they will be bad. You will cringe on it after doing 20 podcasts.
So that happens to with everything, right? Anything.
Yeah, everything.
Anything, whatever you start, like अगर business भी start करते हो, like ऐसा थोड़ी नहीं होता है कि first day you'll be Dhirubhai Ambani, right?
You can't.
So you'll have to struggle a lot. You have to find out your niche, as you said. You have to find out the right tools. Then you'll get nice people. Then people will come and watch your episodes. Correct.
So yeah, there is 2 ways to get an audience, but I think the best method is like build an audience somewhere with short content through Instagram, because at the end of the day, what you want to do is like people should come for you on the podcast, not for the guest. People will come for the guest, but they should stay for you. That's the thing.
Right. Exactly.
That's how you will build your audience, not guest audience.
Right. But don't you think कि podcast आजकल बहुत है YouTube में, बहुत लोग podcast
There are a lot of podcasts, but they are not good podcasts.
But why you think कि people हमारे पास आएंगे? Because there are a lot of, I don't have to tell you कि बाबा कौन है, बहुत बड़े podcast है, right? Why would people come to you and listen to you? How?
See, if you are providing
what are your thoughts
good
in your mind? I mean, did you compare yourself with any good podcaster? ऐसे होता भी है ना, जैसे कि you don't.
In terms of quality, I try ki like, okay, this person is doing this quality podcast. I should be like able to match up with that quality. Not on the production side, on the conversation side. Like, I genuinely enjoyed that conversation. How can I emulate it? That's what I see. Try to see. But on the number side, I don't see much because I'm getting different type of incentives from the podcast. It's not about numbers. It's not about money. It's
Acha.
about I get to have a genuine conversation with a person, and I have a excuse to talk to the best people out there, and I can have a genuine
Oh, that's
conversation with them.
fantastic.
And
That's fantastic. That's
I'm
fun.
building a great network. So I had Puru Thakkar on the podcast. He is like founder of News, and the next month I was interning on his startup. So
Oh, look at that. That's so wonderful. That's, I mean, you have incentives, right? You're getting
you
incentives
have
out of it, like the way you said.
yeah,
Okay.
I'm getting incentive. And if the back to the question, ki, like why would someone listen to you? If you're providing a good content, people if you can figure out your content and distribution and like focus 50-50 on it, eventually people will discover you. Even we didn't thought ki, like there will be 30 people listening to us on Sunday night at 9 p.m. But now we do live streams and people come, and it's just wonderful. It's just wonderful to like.
Can you talk to me about the live stream versus uh, the recorded podcast? Like, what do you think? I mean, what are the changes you see in terms
It's hard to
people?
maintain a live stream.
Is it?
It's hard to structure a live stream a lot, because people are talking about different thing. We are trying to talk about different thing. There's a lot of mismatch. Like you have to focus on the chat and also in the conversation. So it's a little difficult than a podcast. In podcast, there's a lot of things like you can edit it later. You can do a bit mistakes. You don't have to filter yourself too much. Are you there?
You there? You there? Looks like there is a delay again. Yeah, go ahead. Start.
So I was saying ki like in a live stream the problem is ki like in a podcast the thing is ki like you can be a little bit you can say clumsy, you can edit it later. There's a lot of thing. And we have to filter ourselves a lot like during a live stream, because we don't want to see something we regret later, and it's going to be on the stream for a long time. So in a podcast we can just edit it, but on a live stream we can't. Like it's live, you're doing it in front of people. We have to filter out ourselves a little. And if we are pulling out a guest, like we haven't done that until now, but if we are getting a guest on a live stream, then the guest is also conscious about okay 30 people are watching me. In a podcast they are a wee bit relaxed, because we always tell our guests like if you want us to like edit something out, just let us know and we will edit it out.
I see.
Or any topic you don't want to talk about. So so they are also more relaxed. Okay, it's just a conversation, we can have it. On a live stream,
So-
I don't know how I will handle a guest. I really don't know.
So today you had a live stream, right, on your channel?
I have
So
a live
Can
stream.
you just share me one instance which happened today कि बाबा आप कुछ तो दूसरा बात कर रहे थे and suddenly people asked different question and it was very difficult for you to.
It's no, the live stream is not today. The last week I was doing a live stream, and what happened was we basically told our audience कि like bring a tweet and we will try to explain the tweet. If you found any tweet on the like feed you think it's good, just put it out there. And at one point of time we were explaining one tweet and there were two tweets in the line. I was like, how will we handle that? Like we are talking about one tweet, there are two tweets in the line.
Right, okay.
People will come up with more as well. We have to do a little fast, so
Acha.
like pacing the conversation and all that just becomes a little difficult.
Right. But I have seen few people who have done live stream. What they do is they will ask their friend to watch those tweets and so watch those messages, and the people who will be streaming live, they'll be talking and they'll not be paying attention to those messages, and the friend will help them. Okay, abhi ye question hai.
I don't think
I don't know. I mean, if it will work, it will work.
I haven't tried it, but I don't think it's a good way for us, because through live streams we are trying to connect with the chat. We're trying to know ki, like what our audience is, what they want to see.
Right. But this is what
so-
is happening ekdam live mein. Like you are like, let's see, we are
I
having a
don't-
live stream now.
I haven't tried it, so I can't say much about it.
Okay.
That's the thing.
Okay. No problem. So what do you think, Tushar, podcast का future क्या है इंडिया में? Next 15 years or next 10 years maybe. 15 years is way too much. 10 years में क्या लगता है कि podcast मतलब it's a long content, right? And people are making now short content a lot, and people are getting attracted to the short
Okay,
content.
I don't have a personal perspective. Okay, simple thing is I will be doing podcasting for the next 2-3 years at least, because it's giving me a lot of benefits on a like different level. So
Okay.
I will be doing it. So on a personal front, I don't think much about it, like it has a future or not. But I don't know why I get asked this question or not. Maybe because I'm doing podcasting, so they expect me to answer a question. So I tried to search about it. So a lot of people are investing in podcasts, like big companies are investing in podcasts, Spotify is investing and all that does. So it's a good direction. So it's a good sign ki like, okay,
I see.
podcast, especially in India, like Spotify made Ranveer's podcast exclusive, like there was a reason behind it. It was just not a thing. There was a reason behind it. They are trying to push podcasts out there. Spotify is trying to put. And the second thing is when people will shift from online to offline again. So even I have seen this change. Like when I started going to college again, I started listening to a lot of Spotify because I don't want ki, like during the commute ki, like I'm watching YouTube video like this on a bus. I don't want that. But I can listen to a podcast. So I am getting into more like Spotify and like leaving YouTube sort of. So yeah, audio content has a lot of potential right now. And when people will shift offline and they will be missing those live streams and conversations they are seeing right now, they will probably go to Spotify for that.
Awesome, man. And what are the qualities that you think any podcaster, a starter like me, should have? Okay? What are the qualities you think should have? Just living beside all the tools, ये सब छोड़ के qualities खुद में क्या रहनी चाहिए in order to host a guest?
Host a guest. Even if you're hosting a guest or even if you're doing a solo podcast, because I've done like 15 solo podcasts and 35 guest podcasts. So I've done like both.
Okay.
So what you have to do is be genuinely curious. That's the first thing. That's like the basic of all things. Like you have to be genuinely curious. If you're talking on a solo podcast, you must be genuinely curious about the topic. Then you will be able to research better. Then you will be able to frame better. Then you will be very passionate while talking about it. So you should be genuinely curious about it. And even in the case of guests, when you will be genuinely curious in the guest, okay, I want to know what this guest like really wants to thinks about, what he actually answer me. Because okay, so we take a review from our guest most of the times, like how did the podcast go? Was it a good podcast? And we are trying to understand what a good podcast is. And Mitesh defined it very well. Like what a bad podcast is, like you ask a question, you're not genuinely interested in the answer. You're just waiting for the answer to finish to ask the next question, and that is not the conversation people are going to like. At first, it's not an interview; it's a conversation going on. So you have to connect those ideas. So be genuinely curious. This is the first quality. Second is storytelling. You must know storytelling. You must know how you can bind your stories with the content you are. अगर मेरे को कोई टॉपिक समझाना है इसलिए आई एम ट्राइंग टू पुट आउट स्टोरीज आउट देयर कि लाइक ओके आई डिड एन इंटर्नशिप आफ्टर अ पॉडकास्ट आई डिड दिस आफ्टर दिस सो आई एम ट्राइंग टू टेल यू स्टोरीज रादर देन जस्ट टेलिंग मी कि लाइक ओके this happened, this is the way you can do it. So yeah, you have to be genuinely curious and you must have a storytelling mindset because people stay for the story. I think a podcast is nothing but a bunch of stories in one single set. And in a podcast,
exactly.
a story has a simple structure ki like okay, there's a protagonist, he's trying to achieve a goal and there's an obstacle and a person is trying to like reach his goal,
right?
Okay, and people come for that story. And they take the lesson out of the part where the person like disapprove the obstacle or like fight it and then reach the end. That's the part that inspire them in some sort of, but they come for the story. They want to know the whole story. And for a guest podcast, you have to try to ask questions which will bring stories out. Like why questions help a lot. If you're asking someone ki, like why you did that, the person will start telling a story. Even if I just asked you right now ki, like why you wanted to do a podcast with me, you will start ki, like I saw you there and then I thought ki, like you will be the right thing for this thing. So yeah, you'll start telling a story.
Exactly.
So why questions help a lot. Even in a very simple scenario ki, like why you go to college? Because I want to pursue my studies and I like it there, and people just start telling stories. So why questions help a lot. And yeah, I think that's it. Like try to ask more questions which bring out more stories rather than just lessons or something like that. Like what are your 5 productivity tools? No one wants to know about that. No one wants to talk about that. Like sometimes it's good to like someone is asking some productivity tips, but most of the times people would like a question ki, like why you started this company, what was the struggle you were facing while starting this company.
Faced.
Can you tell me some stories where you handled a very bad client? Something like that.
Examples. लोगों को examples चाहिए, right?
Examples.
Experiences.
Experiences.
Exactly. I just remembered a book which I read like a few months back. It's there. Start with Why by Simon Sinek.
Sam
I don't know. I
Sam
mean, if
Sinek
you've read it or not.
I haven't read
Yeah,
the
man.
like
It's so
I
wonderful
listen
book, man.
I listen him a lot.
Oh, you listen to him. Acha. But read that book if you get a chance, man, and listen audiobook. I guess there could be one free audiobook available on YouTube as well. So you can take some time and read that book. Start with Why. It's so wonderful. Read or listen. Okay. Thank you so much, Tushar Bhai, for coming to my show and sharing your wisdom with how to start the podcast. Thank you so much.
Wisdom. I'm not like wisdom. Seriously, man. Like I'm not that much big of a person. Like you're treating me.